Hello again and welcome. This is Michael Pizzolla here, and I'd like to welcome you to this edition of the Value Capping Rant. This is the 2015 Belmont Stakes edition. Now, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Michael Pizzolla, and I'm author of the best-selling book Handicapping Magic, co-author of the classic Pace Makes the Race. I'm credited with being the creator of the original online racing forum, and I'm currently the publisher of Post Time Daily 2.0 and Black Magic Ultimate Handicapping software, also the forthcoming and very exciting Value Capper software. So, the 2015 Belmont Stakes. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of the race, I just want to remind you that what I am talking about goes way beyond handicapping. Handicapping is a given these days. There's so much information out there. I want to talk about value capping, and I do this every video. For those who may have just come across this, never heard of this concept, but the main principle is to find horses that you like. Now, it doesn't matter to me what that liking means. You could be a pace handicapper, a speed handicapper, a trainer handicapper, whatever it is. Something you like that you know that the public should not like. Maybe a bad last race, for example. Okay? That's value capping in the most succinct nutshell I can give you. Now, there's one small problem in this year's Belmont Stakes in finding a horse that you like that the public shouldn't, and it's an 800-pound gorilla by the name of American Pharoah. I don't know if you recall, a few weeks ago, American Pharoah just ran away and hid in the quagmire that was Pimlico at the Preakness Stakes. So, American Pharoah ran a very tough race in the Derby and won. It just, wired the field at the Preakness. Wow, could this be the year? So that's the question everyone's asking, is whether anyone can beat this colt. And, they asked the same question last year of California Chrome. Before that, Big Brown, Smarty Jones, Funny Side. Funny Side's interesting. In the Kentucky Derby that year, Funny Side beat Empire Maker. Now, Empire Maker, if my memory serves me, I think is American Pharoah's granddad. There's probably a better word, grandsire, whatever. You get the idea. And that call was made on a reversal call because that year in the Wood Memorial, Empire Maker had just beaten out Funny Side. And so obviously Empire Maker was a favorite in the Derby based on that win, but Funny Side only finished a little bit behind him. Now, I think Empire Maker went off at a short price. Funny Side paid $20-odd to win. And it's not a matter of bettors. Which was the better value of those? War Emblem, Charismatic, who won both legs. I went on a radio show and picked Charismatic back in '99 and got soundly derided for that. They had to eat crow when he paid $64.60. I was there when he lost his Belmont. I've been to most of these near misses, and also the last 3 Triple Crowns. There was Real Quiet, Silver Charm, Sunday Silence, when one of the most beautiful horses, Easy Goer, son of Secretariat, came and beat him. Ali Sheba, Pleasant Colony. And the year after, I was there when Spectacular Bid lost his bid for the Triple Crown the year after Affirmed. So, the big question on everyone's mind is, could this be the year? But another principle is that, remember, on these big days, the Belmont undercard and the races run at other tracks on the Belmont Stakes Day, they often provide much better value betting opportunities because no one's paying much attention to them. And those that do, it's kind of amateur money. So could this be the year? Will we see something like I was sitting right there when Secretariat won by 31 lengths in 1973. When Seattle Slew came and won in 77 and then this unbelievable battle that I almost couldn't see, well, from where I was sitting, whether Ali Dar had gotten to Affirmed, but Affirmed, of course, won, and Stevie Calthon beat out Jorge Velasquez for the third time. And look how much further they are from the rest of the field. What great horses! I think in any other year, if Affirmed weren't there in that year, we'd be talking about Ali Dar as the Triple Crown champion. What a great horse! I got to spend a little time with him down in Versailles many years ago, before he died. So could this be the year? It's what everyone wants to know. So with that in mind, let's see what American Pharaoh's prospects are for the 2015 Belmont Stakes. All right, here we are at the main screen of Black Magic Ultimate Handicapper for June 6, 2015. Now, I'm doing this a couple of days early. I don't know what the weather is going to be like in New York, or if there's going to be any late scratches and so forth and so on. One big surprise, of course, I figured that, well, American Pharaoh is going to be at the top of the line, but no. The 8-horse Materiality, who ran in the Derby, is at the very top of the line. Not only at the top of the line, Black Magic makes it 2-1. And American Pharaoh is weighed, kind of far down at 7-2. Then there's Tale of Verve, and then there's a big old line down of Frosted, Fermento, Made from Lucky, Mubtahij, and Keen Ice. Now, you'll notice these are reversals. Remember when I talked about Empire Maker Funny Side? They came out of the same race. They're reversals. The one who won the reversal race is called the reversal winner. So, for example, American Pharaoh, as you recall, won the Preakness on May 16th. And the second horse is the reverser, Tale of Verve, who finished 7 lengths back. It's the Tale of Verve is a deep closer. Now, in races like this, and to be honest with you, I don't do much tinkering around with the screen on Black Magic. I'm looking at typically a few hundred races in a day with potential, and if one doesn't really pop out at me, I don't do much work on the race, but this is the possibility of the Triple Crown. Let's take a look at these contenders. Materiality is right on top. Now, it won its maiden race just in January. So it never ran as a 2-year-old, yeah? And blew away a field with the highest number it's earned. Then it won a handicap at Gulfstream in its second start. It wins the Florida Derby. And in the Kentucky Derby, I think it got off to a bit of an awkward start and couldn't catch up with the rest of the field. Now, I got a little bit bitten in the Kentucky Derby because I relied on the horses coming out of that Florida Derby and the other Florida prep races. So Upstart had a very good number, and It's a Knockout, I think, had a pretty good number. But Upstart was certainly the one that I thought might have a real shot in the race. As it was, it finished dead last, and that happens. Those numbers didn't translate. So Query, given that this colt ran and won the Florida Derby, will these numbers translate again? And so here's where I play a little bit of what-if games. I said, look, I'm not going to take that win in the slop, and its maiden win at 6 furlongs, and come down here and exclude that line. And lo and behold, even though Materiality gets a lowered line, it's still on the top. To get rid of it, I would have to get rid of that line at the Islamoralda handicap and get rid of everything but the Florida Derby. And guess what? It still comes up at the top of the line. So I can't quite get rid of this colt. Now, interestingly, American Pharaoh gets a very low number in the Preakness. You know, when I wrote about him in the Arkansas, before the Arkansas Derby, I thought he was, you know, head and shoulders. But that number that it gets off of the Preakness Stakes, wow, so much lower than his other races. And when you look at the time, with 1:58 and 2, not so good. I mean, I don't recall exactly what Secretariat's record was in the Preakness, but good gosh, it was a lot faster than that. Well, not many, but seconds faster than that. 154, 153 and change. I mean, that's a slow race. So I'm thinking, well, okay, the software used that line. Maybe I'll exclude it. It doesn't do so well. Maybe I'll include the Rebel Stakes. God, is there anything more I can do? Let's open this colt up all the way. And I'm still getting him, you know, obviously a major contender. You don't have a champion that wins a Kentucky Derby in the Preakness and not have him there. But I can't get Materiality pushed out of there. Now, if you're going to consider American Pharaoh, which, you know, is an obvious horse, a colt, the other colt coming out of the Preakness, Tail of Verve, who made that late move to get second, needs to be considered as well. Do I think it has a chance to win? Well, it's a very, very late horse. How do I know that? I look at acupressure, and acupressure shows American Pharaoh having things much his own way in the first call. A very big lead, 9 points. That represents a very big lead. Now, people think that the mile-and-a-half distance, not very susceptible to pace handicapping, admittedly. They think, oh, it's a late race, must favor late horses. No, it's kind of a hybrid. In the last 4 Belmonts, the horse has been, the colt that's won has been close to the pace, but has a late expenditure of its energy. If you look at the way, for example, Tail of Verve typically runs, it is well from off the pace, as opposed to Materiality, who is near the pace, and of course American Pharaoh, who tends to be near the pace and pressing. Looks like it could do anything. One interesting thing is we see that from the first call to the second call, Materiality looks like it might be able to make a middle move in the race. So then let's take a quick look at the other colts in the race. We've got Frosted, who looks like another horse. It's the second morning line favorite. I think they're going to make Materiality the second favorite. There is Fremento, and, you know, the old saying, beware the New York trainer in the Belmont Stakes. This is a Nick Zito-trained colt, and taking the blinkers off, it ran in the Derby and just never really ran, but Nick Zito's got a very good record, certainly in the money record at the Belmont. Here's an interesting horse made from Lucky, who won the Peter Pan, and I guess the reason I'm interested a little bit in this colt is, and we'll probably use him in the exotics, is that he's the one colt that didn't run in either the Derby or the Preakness. The question mark in the race, as it was in the Derby, is Mubtahij, who had a kind of lackluster Derby, but otherwise a pretty decent record. And then there's Keen Ice, who another one of those very late runners. And you can see acupressure will tell you Keen Ice is one of the late runners, Fremento and Tail of Verve. But I think they're going to have to go a long way to catch up with American Pharaoh, Materiality, and even made from Lucky. So from a betting strategy point of view, first of all, let's get one thing clear. I would love to see American Pharaoh win just for the sport and the fact that, for all my talk about cold-blooded investment, I'm a racing fan as well. Okay? Let's get that out of the way. I don't want to be a killjoy here. But yet, the horse, quote-unquote, on top is Materiality. I'm taking that with a big grain of salt because it comes from those Florida races. So I would need let's see. Let's reset it to make sure I've got the right numbers here. So typically, if this were a race, yes, I want to reset it. Thank you very much. You know, if I've got a horse at 2-1 on my line, I'm looking for 5-1 on the horse. I would have to get more than that to consider materiality, given the unknown about whether those numbers will translate. So 6 or 7-1. The favorite, American Pharaoh, is also the fulcrum. Those horses place a lot. The bad news about that is that if it places, the exacta is going to pay nothing. I suppose if they bet materiality, say they put American Pharaoh at 3-5, 4-5, materiality maybe at 5-1, I might have to take a small shot with tail of Verve just from the price. And I would need, you know, seriously long price on tail of Verve to get involved. On terms of other colts to use in the exotics, I'll have to play a little skinny. Mubtahij is an unknown. Don't really know what to do with that. Made from Lucky intrigues me only because it's the one colt that didn't run in the others, in the Derby of the Preakness, and Fremento. You know, it's that Nicky Zito thing. Could probably get along for third or fourth, perhaps. When I look at the exotic patterns, you know, no big surprise here. We get Materiality, Frosted, and American Pharaoh. And by the way, those are the top 3 morning line favorites. So from that point of view, I don't think there's going to be a lot of value in the race. If I don't get 7-8-1 on Materiality, I'm not going to take it. And in which case, I'll have a small bet on tail of Verve. Why small bet? Well, it's third on my line. It's got a late running style. This race should be unpressured with Materiality, American Pharaoh, and perhaps Made from Lucky out there running early. So the price will tell on this. Certainly any fulcrum has a chance to win any race in North America. American Pharaoh is well placed in the Belmont. It figures that to have it its own way, certainly at the first call. The question is if it can withstand the middle moves, which possibly could be made by Materiality and Made from Lucky, and then the late moves from Taylor Verve, Keen Ice, and Fremento probably. So that's the way I see the race shaping up. That's going to be my betting strategy. Materiality at 7-1 or so. American Pharaoh, I can't bet. Hesitant about betting against it. If I don't get the price on Materiality, may take a small shot with tail of Verve, but certainly will have exotics. Hoping to hit a bit of a home run with Made from Lucky, Fremento, you know, the closing horses as well. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope you realize that the takeaway should be not who's going to win the race. Who's going to win the race? Well, probably American Pharaoh. I mean, he's 3-5 on the line. He just won the Derby and Preakness. But is there any value in the race? And that's very often, it's more than just numbers. So you could say, well, Materiality is right on top of him. Well, yeah. But given the, you know, all the special things and the fact that it came from the Gulfstream preps and the Florida Derby, and those didn't translate very well in the Triple Crown races this year, I'm going to need more of a price. It's a bit more of a feel thing. If I have to go down a tail of Verve, I don't have to, by the way. I can very easily pass the race from a betting point of view, right? But if I don't get a price, the question is, will I take tail of Verve? Sure, at 20, you know, 25-1, that kind of range. And then if I don't get any of those prices, well, then I'll try to hit a home run with very small bets using horses like Fremento and Made from Lucky with some of the other contenders in the race. So the point of all of that was this is meant to be an object lesson in the process of value capping. I don't know what's going to happen in the race. And here's a news flash. Nobody does. Sure, you know, American Pharaoh, sure, should, quote unquote, win the race. But then again, California Chrome should have won last year. And Sunday Silence should have won. And Charismatic should have, and so forth and so on. You get the view. Remember, though, the purpose of this game is to produce profits. The way to do that, I believe, is to find horses you like that the public shouldn't. That's very, very important. Don't forget to look at the undercard, not only the Belmont undercard, but the other tracks that are running that day. A lot of amateur money out there and a lot of opportunities when they pile up on a favorite that perhaps really shouldn't be the favorite. Well, that's it for this edition of the Value Capping Rant. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you so much for your support and encouragement, and thank you for all of your kind words during this 2015 Triple Crown season. Good luck this weekend. Good luck in the Belmont Stakes, and remember to let the bet make you. I'll see you soon.